afternoon and happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Page, presented by 24/7 Sports. My name is Cameron Taylor, Noah Matthews, Colby Andrews joining me here, and welcome to The Page. This is our inaugural episode. So we're just going to be talking about sports on this page on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you like what we're talking about. And we really just want to get our perspective out because a lot of times the little guy is not heard from, and we're the little guys. So I guess we'll just hop right into our first topic. We're going to be covering all sorts of sports. Make sure you comment below, subscribe below. We want to hear your thoughts, and we'll make sure we respond to you when we can. One of us definitely will. So our first topic today is one that's been going around the NBA for a while now. Somebody who entered the league with a lot of praise around him and a lot of criticism at the same time, held to a high standards. And he's about halfway through his year now. And is Lonzo Ball a bust, or is he going to be a boom for this Lakers team?
Well, I think it's entirely too early to decide whether or not Lonzo Ball is going to be a boom or a bust based on the fact that we're about 2 months into the beginning of the year. His rookie season, nonetheless. Already he's averaging 10.0 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, and 7.1 assists. So I think those are really good numbers, especially for a rookie coming in with all the expectations that were placed upon him, not just by the media and the fans, but by his own father, frankly.
Definitely.
Well, despite the fact that he's had some numerous off-the-field somewhat distractions, the whole situation with LiAngelo, the whole thing with his father, exactly.
Yep.
I think he's come in and basically been really good for the expectations that were placed upon him, and how he's done so far really is a very good reflection of the player that he can become and the talent that he has, natural talent. I think he has a chance to be basically the next cornerstone of the Lakers franchise, one of the most stoic in the NBA, one of the most storied. I think he absolutely has a chance to turn that franchise around because they've been kind of in the dumps for the past few years, picking in the top three with Brandon Ingram and Lonzo, frankly. I think he's done a good job. He's taken them up in assists tremendously. So I feel like he's absolutely done a good job. And leaning more towards the boom section for now, but it'll all be determined eventually after very far down the road.
But you still think it's a little too early to call?
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Okay.
I also do think that he will be a boom coming out of UCLA, starting all 36 games, averaging 35 minutes per game there.
That's pretty impressive. Only 1 year, too?
Yeah, as a freshman. Winning the Wayman Tisdale Award, which is the top freshman of the year. Being an All-American, being a 5-star recruit coming out of Chino Hills. 55% field goal percentage, 67% free throw percentage, averaging 6 assists a game, which is very similar to what he is now with the Lakers.
Right. Averaging a little bit more, actually, in the 7 range.
Yeah. 14 points per game, which is a little bit more now, and only 2 steals and only 2 turnovers per game at UCLA.
Right. And, I know I was talking to you, I've been talking to you for months, and I love Lonzo Ball. Coming into the league, this man hated Lonzo Ball. Anything that had to do with the Ball family, he didn't like, but I liked him, so I'm determined to shut you up a little bit. He is 7th in the league in assists at the quarter mark of the year. That's really impressive for a rookie, much less anybody. Guy who's been in the league 5 years to be 7th in the league playing against guys like Harden, LeBron, Steph Curry, whatever. That's impressive. Also, the Lakers were in the 20s in total assists for the team. Ever since adding Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma, they're down to number 9. So now they're in the top 10. I do agree the shooting needs some work. He shoots his shot from down here in his hip, kind of at his hip a little bit, and it's really slow coming off. And in the NBA, UCLA is one level, but the speed of the game really increases once you get to the NBA, and guys are just going to pick off on that. And I think that's been a lot of his problem. He's having to rush that shot off of his hip. If he has time to set up and shoot, that thing's going in all day. That's how he averaged so many points at UCLA. But he is with the Lakers. The Lakers are a stoic organization. They got a great staff. They're young. I think they'll be able to turn a shot around. These are NBA trainers and whatever. They'll work on a shot. And people just think he's bad because right now the only bad stat line he has is his shot, and everybody likes to see points. That's just a big thing. I think these assists speak for themselves, though. He has magic numbers. I think Magic Johnson looks just like Lonzo Ball. He's a young Magic Johnson, and I really like that. Do we have anything else about Lonzo?
Let's just clear one thing up. I don't hate Lonzo Ball.
You hated Lonzo Ball. You hated Lonzo Ball.
did not think he was going to be a good player in the NBA. I thought he was I thought his ceiling was somewhat of a role player, somewhat of a Ricky Rubio type.
Yeah. But I mean, we've seen like even the Warriors game the other night. I don't know if you watched it, but like they didn't win, but they gave the Warriors a run for their money, and that's a team like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, like, and much less a Draymond Green. Like that, they look
the best team in
the
NBA.
They look better. Maybe their record doesn't show it. They finished third. Third to last year in the whole league, so they're already better. They're not out of the playoffs yet either. Like they're right on the cusp. So
yeah, well, we're 2 months into the NBA. I would hope they're not out of the playoffs
you know what
already.
I mean? Like it's not going to be apparent that we could
absolutely
still see the Lakers in the playoffs.
See, one thing that really sticks out to me is the fact that Lonzo Ball is a proven winner at almost every level. Not quite the NBA yet. He led Chino Hills back in high school to a 35-0 record with a state championship, and he led UCLA. I'm not sure. I don't entirely remember what round they made it to in the NCAA tournament last year. Sweet 16. Yeah. But he has proven that he has taken this Lakers team and has allowed them to stick right up there, like you mentioned, the Warriors, top teams like the Rockets. He has gone head to head with the Steph Currys, the CP3s, all of them, and he's given them a run for their money. And that's being a rookie. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I think that with time. And with the development of the rest of the Lakers core, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, even Ante Zizic, he can definitely take that franchise and turn it around and get them out of picking in the top 3 like they've done for the last 2 years.
Well, Lonzo, he's more humble than probably any member of his family. You know, we don't see him on the court running his mouth. He goes, he does his thing, and he's actually gotten a lot of praise. KD and Steph both came out before and after the Warriors game and just said, he's a good kid. He's got a lot of potential. You know, even reminds me of myself coming out of college a little bit. So, I mean, that's a big thing coming from MVP candidates. Like, one's a 2-time MVP. And I think the future's bright for Lonzo. He's going to have his struggles here and there, but I really do think that Lakers organization is on the way up. They're trending upward.
Just fix the shot, and that's all you got to do. The same thing was said with Kawhi Leonard coming out of college.
Definitely.
His shot was not his strong suit, but now you see him averaging 20, 25 points a game, perennial MVP candidate. And I think Lonzo eventually, as kind of a long shot, kind of a hot take as this is, I think eventually he's going to be right up there with the Ben Simmons, the Giannis Antetokounmpos, the Kawhi Leonards as kind of perennial MVP candidates, and I think that he is this Lakers franchise. He is the future, and he can turn this franchise around completely.
Very unselfish, very pass first, very good. I like Lonzo. So we're all gonna say we got a boom, potential boom. Maybe?
Boom.
All right, I like him. I'm gonna say boom. Maybe not quite yet, but we're getting there. So let's shift gears a little bit. We talked about the NBA for a few minutes there. Some good games coming up in the next few days, but we'll talk about that another time. Right now, I want to talk about some action that's been going on this week. James Harrison, longtime Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're my Steelers guy down there. I know you. Oh God, we can't stand you. My longtime Steeler getting cut by the Steelers and signing with the Patriots. A lot of criticism about that. Even Ben Roethlisberger's wife coming into it a little bit, saying, "Oh, we're scared he's going to give away our secrets." I didn't know the Steelers had secrets. But you know, let me just hear your opinion on this. Like.
Well, you know, he has a pretty good career as the Steeler. 5 Pro Bowl selections, 2 Super Bowls. Being on an All-Pro team, a Defensive Player of the Year, with 2008 being easily his best season. He has 788 total tackles, 82.5 sacks, 33 forced fumbles, 8 recoveries, 8 interceptions, and that 1 touchdown coming against the Cardinals in Super Bowl 43.
Well, what I'm going to say is this is typical Bill Belichick right here.
Oh,
I don't know why, but this man just has a way about him. He's still a productive player. Belichick will find a way to use him in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe he may not be out there for every single snap of the game. Heck, he may be out there for 5 snaps of the game. But Belichick is going to use him and get the most out of what he has. The one thing I do want to say about Harrison is he's a guy who's had controversy around him forever. And I think that could be leading to a lot of this stuff that we see coming out of this, that maybe this is controversial. Maybe it's not. Maybe it was just something that happened. There was PED issues a few years ago. A few years before that, we saw the abuse issues. I just think this is a guy that is surrounded by drama. And as an organization like the Patriots, who are try to stay drama-free, I think it's going to be a difficult adjustment, but I think he can do it. Typical Belichick. No one likes the Patriots, so of course. I mean, I love them. I personally love them. I love Tom Brady
too. So.
But no one else likes the Patriots unless you're from Boston. I see you nodding your head. So I really do.
I'm a Giants fan.
I really do think this is just a lot of people's way of just finding something to blame on the Patriots once again.
Well, I feel like it's a lot of the Steelers organization being kind of a little upset. They're losing their basically the best defensive player that franchise has ever had, but with all respect to Polamalu and some of the other guys. But James Harrison, he has hardly played at all this year. He's played in 5 games. I'm not sure exactly how many snaps he's done, but he has 1 sack this year, and they aren't using him to the fullest extent of his capabilities.
But I still think he can be effective.
Oh, I do too, and that's why I'm saying that this move was the best thing that he could have done. He's going to a team potentially for one last run to basically. I think the Patriots are the Super Bowl favorites easily currently, just like they are every year.
Especially with the Wentz injury coming in, I don't know how much Foles can do. Yeah,
absolutely. I think they're the clear-cut Super Bowl front runner, and I think James Harrison's trying to get one last run at it before he retires, and that's my personal opinion. And I think if Bill Belichick can use him as a way to kind of be a catalyst for the pass rush, then that's pretty much exactly what the Patriots need right now. Their defense has not been it's gotten better as of late, but it's still not up there with what it takes to be a Super Bowl contender. And I think James Harrison could be that missing ingredient like they tried to do with Coney Ealy back in the summer. And this strikes me as eerily similar to the Darrelle Revis signing a few years back.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I think the Patriots definitely could have found a diamond in the rough right here. So, with all due respect to the Steelers organization, they weren't using James Harrison, and I don't think any of them have the right to basically be upset about it. So, and in terms of going along with the secrets that they had, he's a defensive player. I mean, he's gonna have some of the defensive schemes in his mind, but NFL teams change up their schemes pretty much every week. They change the play calling, and he's not gonna have any knowledge basically on what the offense does, in my opinion. And I don't think he's going to be really as much of a secret giver for the Patriots.
So, Mr. Steelers down there, do you have an opinion on this? Do you like getting rid of him? Because we haven't been utilizing him. Do you think his talents can be used somewhere else? Are you worried? Because
no, I'm not worried.
You're not worried. I'm not a Pittsburgh guy. Ew, disgusting.
Like Noah said, they change their schemes every week, basically. But I would like to say that the Patriots did get a fantastic pickup here.
Oh, I do think I agree.
For sure. With Kyle Van Noy at linebacker, Yolando Roberts, Trey Flowers at DN, they're adding to a very stacked defensive front, especially in the interior. Mm-hmm. Him playing an outside linebacker DN mix, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Maybe we see the resurgence of Harrison. I always say the Patriots don't have superstars; the Patriots make superstars, and we've seen that. I mean, the perfect example is Malcolm Butler.
Absolutely.
No one knew who he was before that Super Bowl. The Patriots make superstars. And, if they can use him, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think the rumors are anything. I think it was a legitimate thing that happened. They cut him to make room for an injured player coming back. Patriots picked him up. I don't see anything.
I don't think it ruins the Steelers' legacy either, honestly.
I really don't.
I think the fact that he's been so good for them this long.
Also with the Steelers with T.J. Watt.
T.J. Watt,
coming in, that's probably one of the reasons. Because he's getting a lot of snaps now. James Harrison not liking that.
Right, T.J. Watt's great. He's proof he can play.
He's a candidate for defensive player, for defensive rookie of the year.
Coming from a good family.
Yeah, well.
Watt family,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I think everything's good with the James Harrison trade. I just think there's just been a lot of rumors just because of his past, just because I really think it's fair to say that the Patriots and the Steelers are the elite organizations in the NFL. They're held to a different standard.
They're two of the elite. They aren't the only two that are.
Yeah, but I'm putting them at the top because I think you walk into that locker room, you walk into that training facility, and there's a totally different mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely,
But a lot of that has to do with the structure and the coaching.
And I just think because something big happened with these two teams, that's why we're getting a lot of.
That's also going to be your AFC Championship. Just saying.
Okay.
I completely agree.
My Redskins and your Giants are out of the playoffs, so we're just we're not gonna talk about the standings right now. So next we're going to move into, I think each one of us prepared, in this section of the show, each one of us have prepared a topic of choice that we really want to talk about. Something that we're passionate about that's happened within the month, within the week, or whatever. So, you guys know, I am a huge Carson Wentz fan, right? Coming out of North Dakota State, baby, let's go. I love the kid, and I was so happy for him, but I hate the Eagles. I'm a Redskins fan. I cannot like the Eagles, but I was rooting for them because of him, because I love him. when he got injured, I was almost as devastated as I was for the Deshaun Watson injury. Like, those are my two guys. So I really want to talk about who do you think is going to be MVP this year. And I'm going to say Carson Wentz. Now, the injury does set him back a little bit. And don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. I promise. Look what this guy's done. This kid has totally changed the mentality that's happening up in Philly right now. And let me find my thing. He's got 33 touchdowns on 440 pass attempts. That's sixth most in NFL history by a quarterback throwing 450 fewer passes. So that's pretty good. His 7 interceptions match the 4th fewest in NFL history by a quarterback throwing 33 touchdowns or more. And there's only the 2 guys in front of him, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady did it twice. That's some pretty good company. And I think it's fair to say, you're going to disagree with me, you're going to throw out another name in there. 27 touchdowns in the last 9 games. You're going to disagree. You're going to say that there's someone else in there. I know you are. You're just that kind of person. Tom Brady's the only other guy that could be considered for this award. I think ballot fatigue comes into play a lot when Tom Brady's there. And I think if Tom Brady was a legitimate MVP candidate last year after missing 4 games because of his suspension, I don't see why Carson Wentz can't. I don't.
Well, you make a really good point with the Tom Brady thing coming back last year from the 4-game suspension. So I'm not gonna support Tom Brady for this. I'm gonna make the case for somebody else, somebody who has never won the MVP.
Of course
before,
you are.
And somebody who I think.
Well, let me guess.
Somebody who I think, frankly, he's had the best season out of any player in the NFL this year, and that is
Carson
Rams
Wentz.
running back
Carson
Todd Gurley.
Wentz. Oh,
Absolutely not.
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley is the lifeblood of the Rams. That dude is playing like he never wants Jeff Fisher to have another job again.
Okay,
And
it's only because of Sean McVay.
That is not true.
Sean McVay Redskins.
That is not
head
true.
coach in the league.
Todd Gurley has. Okay, how many of you got? This is kind of off on a different scale.
Don't
How
bring
many-
them into this.
How many of you guys have? Be quiet and let me talk. How many of you guys won a fantasy football championship? Okay.
Remember who
How
made
many of
the
you guys remember who also made the playoffs in our league? Okay, that's a different story.
I knocked you out.
My guy's had a bad week. Todd Gurley was one of the most owned players on fantasy football championships. Todd Gurley is the fantasy football MVP, and with that stat line, I see no reason why he can't be the NFL regular season MVP. I think he has taken that team, and the turnaround from the Rams to what they are from last year to this year is greater than what the turnaround is from the Eagles from last year to this year. And doing it with a rookie head coach coming in and implementing his own system. Basically, he's utilizing Todd Gurley to the best of his ability. And Todd Gurley he's taken his opportunity, and based off of what he did last year with that, I think he's taken the step forward. He's not only the most improved player in the NFL this year, he is the MVP of the National Football League.
Well, I mean, running backs really have a hard time becoming MVP. Mm-hmm. I really do think. And I think that'll factor into it a lot. I think he's kind of at a disadvantage because he's a running back. I'll admit, Todd Gurley had a great year. The whole Rams organization had a good year. And I really think that is going to be... it could be an advantage and it could not be. Yes, you want your team to do good because that helps you. But at the same time, there's a lot more clicking for that. Look at that team. Goff had a great year. Right?
Yeah, but who's the weapon on that
Robert
offense?
Woods had a great year. Sammy Watkins had a good year. But what does Carson Wentz have? He has Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey is the
didn't catch a pass last week.
That's 1 week.
He is streaky. And
Every player's streaky.
3 running backs, but their running game hasn't been great. It's been good, but it hasn't been great. And like I said, I really do think Tom Brady is the only guy who is giving Carson Wentz a run for his money. And I'm a little crazy for saying this. He has a 105.2 passer rating. That's Brady, which is the 5th highest in his career. If it's the 5th highest in his career, should he really be MVP candidate? I don't know.
Well, that's just a testament to how good Tom Brady is. He's the greatest player to ever play football.
33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. And Carson Wentz makes big plays. We saw him score with a torn ACL to win the game.
Phillip Rivers did that too a few years back.
That's what moments are...
But
Phillip Rivers is a washout. That's what moments are made of. I really think Carson Wentz, MVP candidate, winner, 2017-18.
You heard it here, first, folks. Todd Gurley will win.
So please comment below if you think it'll be Gurley or Wentz or someone else. Please give a reason why.
Or Brady.
Do you have a preference on this? Is there someone you think? Are you going to side with one of us, or do you
No.
You
I'm just going to throw out a name.
Ben
Oh,
Roethlisberger.
Lord.
No, it's not going to be him. It's
Antonio
Antonio
Brown.
Brown. Yeah, Steelers.
Antonio
Yeah, sorry.
Brown. That's all I got to say.
All right, so we'll just.
Oh, I think I have something to say about that. I think he is a legitimate case for it as well.
Why don't we just all agree? Juju Smith-Schuster, everybody's favorite person
I love
in the league.
Juju.
All right, so we're
He
just.
learned to ride that bike and got his driver's license.
We're just
Successful year
We're
for
gonna move
Juju.
on. So Colby, you've prepared your topic of choice for us tonight. What will you be talking about?
Actually, I'll be talking about the concussions in the NFL.
Concussions in the NFL. Okay.
Yes,
Very
it's
different
a
topic.
very serious issue, though.
Oh, I agree.
Certainly with like mental health and
Right.
that factoring in. Throughout the 2015 season, there were over 250 concussions, but those were the only ones that were reported.
Okay.
Meaning that there were many more concussions that just didn't.
Right.
There may have been a bye week, get a concussion in practice, you're good for the next game. Well, that's way too many in my opinion.
Right.
271, and it's 2017. There should be plenty of technology.
So the leader in concussion sports, I guess, would you say science? Is that a science thing? Doing research on that is actually Air Home University. Well, not yours. Virginia Polytechnical Institute, Virginia Tech. They're the leader for the NFL in concussion stuff. And I was doing some research last night when I heard you were going to start talking about this topic, and they're really trying to prevent. They want to prevent instead of fix. So they're trying new they got a lot of new sensors on this year. They got a lot of new stuff, but is it really working? And that's what we want to know.
Well, I believe that we aren't going to be able to tell if it's really working this year. I think it's going to be down the road when we end up getting the results from these tests.
Mm-hmm.
And once we really start seeing changes with the technology and see them being implemented, and once we start seeing the results, and I feel like once we start seeing the results, that's when we're really going to know what's happening.
Right.
And if it gets to a point where it's gone down a while and we haven't seen any results yet, then I feel like there's definitely other things that we need to implement, new technology that we need to focus on. But personally, for me, I think concussions are the absolute biggest issue facing the NFL today. I think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Just
like,
health
absolutely.
in general. Just it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And you see everything going around. And the NFL's doing stuff to prevent it. Like you saw the whole issue with Russell Wilson a few weeks ago. How they he went back into the blue medical tent, and the Seahawks ended up being fined just recently about how they violated the concussion protocol with that injury. And I feel like you need to up the penalties for the teams with the entire issue with concussions, but a lot of it, I don't feel like you can blame it on the Seahawks for that situation. I feel like Russell Wilson was kind of like, yeah, get me back out there. I got to go play. That's just the type of player Russell Wilson is. I'm a huge fan of Russell Wilson.
Could be an MVP candidate, but
Seahawks aren't being successful enough for that.
yeah, he's not. Yeah, no.
All right, but no, I think the entire concussion issue with the NFL is definitely something that we need to address, and this is something that the entire NFL kind of needs to take into account with what they're doing from furthering technology and furthering maybe even to defensive rule setting, like with the different hits that come on.
Right.
You see the Ryan Shazier injury being a Steelers fan. I know that wasn't with his concussion or anything, but that was definitely.
But
neural
there's a
issue.
fine line because you don't want to take away from the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
I completely agree.
Health and safety comes first. I feel
Right.
like
No, I
before-
totally agree.
Right. Yeah. It just
Totally agree.
there was a 31% increase from 2014 to 2015 of concussions. 31% more.
Do we have a reason for that, or do we just not know?
It just
Speed
it's
of the game, I
harder,
guess?
harder hitting players, I guess.
I feel like it's an increase not in just the concussions in general. I feel like it's an increase in the reported concussions, and I feel like that's always
technology has been better, and we know.
And not to mention the fact that it's going to be so difficult for a player to get out of not reporting a concussion with it when they're facing the injuries, and you can see when a concussion happens. You can see the effects that it has on a person.
Well, see, I really like where we are right now in sports because I think we're in that kind of that sweet spot where you have a lot of old veteran players, still with it. The Bradys, the Brees, the Matt Ryans,
Eli.
Okay. And then we have your young players, your Wentzes, your Gurleys, your Goffs, and I really just think these young guys, they're a little faster, they're a little harder hitting, and we see that with every generation that comes up because in order to be the best, you got to get better. And it's just, and I think the speed of the game has changed a lot, and it's just leading to more injuries and then just awareness.
players are bigger, faster, and stronger for sure.
Definitely,
Because-
Mr. Offensive lineman down here.
Well, for
Left
yeah,
tackle.
I am. Well, for the rules, just it makes players bigger because of just how, especially on the offensive line. Not trying to take away, but I read an article. It said that the least prone position to concussions is the center, which makes sense.
Right.
But the most prone is the cornerback. 41 concussions this season alone for cornerbacks across the league.
Wow.
There's a whole lot, but I mean, I guess they're considered big. I guess they're.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, cornerback is the second hardest position to play in football, as opposed to the quarterback.
the
So-
no.
Oh,
No, cornerback, it requires incredible athleticism, and not to mention a lot of those guys are not the biggest guys. You're talking about these guys are going up against everyone saw that issue with Tre'Davious White and Rob Gronkowski a few weeks back. Rob Gronkowski basically he attacked him after that. I feel like he should have been suspended for more, but that's a completely different situation. You're talking about this 6'7", 200, at least 250 pounds. I'm not sure his exact stats, but he basically dived onto Tre'Davious White. He's a 6 foot, 190-pound cornerback. He's not going to be able to defend himself against that, especially when he's already on the ground. And you see these smaller cornerbacks going up against big tight ends like Rob Gronkowski, against big wide receivers like Kelvin Benjamin and Julio Jones, and and they aren't going to be able to defend themselves in some situations, especially when they aren't able to get their eyes on the ball a lot of times. So I feel like cornerback definitely has a position to play for that.
and also, I would just like to throw out one more statistic. I promise I'm done after this. But there was a 26.7% of 187 players placed on the team injury report that suffered concussions previous to the ones that were reported.
Okay.
And the person that, this is crazy, but the person 3 seasons into the NFL, DJ Fluker, offensive guard for the Chargers.
No, for the Giants now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played for the Giants this year.
Okay, well, never mind. Article live.
Wow.
I
What you
think
mean?
it's the
Sure,
second-
just wasn't
it's the second.
citing your
Probably
sources.
outdated.
The second article right there.
Okay.
It's he has had 4 concussions in 3 years,
Yeah.
and he had 1 concussion 3 days after he just got back onto the field, which is
So
insane.
concussions, big deal. You know,
Bad.
Absolutely.
safety always comes first in any sport, and because we want to have fun, but we really want to make sure everybody's okay. We don't want to see something tragic happen. Is that all you got, Colby? You good to go? All right, so Mr. Matthews, you have your topic of choice. You were debating between one or two
Yeah, I
things.
was really debating
So,
between.
I really don't know which one you're going to go with, but let's see what comes out of your mouth.
Frankly, I don't know either, so this is going to be interesting.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so
Oh,
basically, the 2 topics of choice that really interested me was somewhat how we kind of have potentially an end of the Legion of Boom over here.
In
that
Seattle,
could be
yeah.
in Seattle. But the topic that I decided to go with, based it on it being very near and dear to my heart with the New York Giants, the entire Eli Apple situation with his family, and frankly, he just got suspended yesterday. He got suspended for the final game of the season after he'd basically been inactive all year. Eli Apple basically was called a cancer by Landon Collins, who we all know is a superstar, by the way.
Yeah.
Best safety in the league.
Debatable.
No, not really. But Landon Collins called him a cancer in the locker room. Landon Collins is one of the few really strong leaders that the New York Giants still have on the team. And
Yeah, because the locker room's gone.
Thanks, Ben McAdoo.
Yeah.
He's one of the few strong leaders that we have left on our team,
Right.
and when he goes out and calls somebody a cancer to the locker room, that's like calling a football player soft. It's like you don't I'd say that you don't do that, but when obviously Landon was frustrated. He came out and apologized later, and obviously he was frustrated with everything. It was kind of a loss of patience at that point, and who knows, but I just think that Eli Apple has no place on the Giants roster anymore, especially past this year. And what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, don't be looking, so excuse my poor handwriting, but just for the heck of it, because this is my personal opinion, I think I agree with Landon Collins, not necessarily with the Eli Apple incident, but this word right here represents the whole Giants organization this year.
Oh wow.
Cancer. I don't think he was particularly right in saying it directly to Eli, but Eli has been, you said he's been pretty ineffective this year. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter. He was suspended.
Right.
Y'all are out of the playoffs.
They're what, 2-14?
2-14 or
2-13.
something. I don't even know.
Going on 2-14.
Y'all just, it doesn't matter. Not a big deal. I don't think it's Blake Bortles got called trash the other day.
But
Yeah, but
Blake
that's
Bortles is
different.
leading a winning team.
That's also different though. Trash and cancer. That's like.
I just think
But
Ben McAdoo lost the locker room, and I don't think it's right, but I don't think it's a big deal.
But
It's also in the heat of the moment. It's
Right,
kind of-
yeah.
That's what you
You
want.
guys are talking about.
I don't
but
think he really
this
wishes
se-
that on him, though.
No, he doesn't. He's not saying I want him to have cancer. He's saying that his
No,
presence
that's
in the
not-
locker room is like a cancer to the team and to the morale they have going.
And maybe there's some truth to that, and that's just
So I
the
think
way
there's
it came
absolutely
out.
some truth.
Oh, yeah.
There's absolutely some truth to it. I'm not saying there's a fault with Landon Collins. I think Landon Collins was pretty much in the right. Maybe he mistakenly did it in the wrong way, calling him out publicly. But we can't forget that Eli Apple called Landon Collins out publicly earlier in the year with the whole talk, saying that the talks never happened between him and Landon, between him and some of the other secondary members. And I think that it's been widely reported, especially in that one NJ.com article, that Eli Apple is going through some very intense family struggles with everything, with his mom having brain surgery. And I think that the Giants organization does need to be supportive, and I think that they were, but at the same time, you've got to juggle your personal life with your professional life. If you need to take a leave of absence, you can take a leave of absence. But you do not bring personal struggles into the locker room with other grown men, especially when you're on a 2 and almost 14 team, and you started the season like 0-5 or 0-6, and you don't bring personal struggles into the locker room.
Right.
There's a fine line you have to cross there. Of course, all of the players are going to be there for each other, but you cannot put your own personal self. You cannot be a me player. You have to be a team first player,
Especially
and that's how
when
you.
Morrell's already at an all-time level.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think that Landon Collins was right for the Eli Apple situation, and that Eli Apple, should he need help, should he be willing to get help, the Giants organization and Landon Collins specifically need to go and help him. But if he's not willing to get help and he's not willing to better himself for the betterment of the team and for the betterment of his personal life, then there's nothing more that the Giants organization can do, and it's time to move on from him, which is really sad considering all the talent that he has. He was a 10th overall pick, not this past year's draft, but the year
A little
before.
bit of a question mark pick, I do think, but still, I think a lot of...
Absolutely. One thing that's kind of funny that came out before the draft, talking about how the whole report that, Eli Apple can't cook, which and it was talking about how he didn't have any life skills. He didn't know how to cope with situations like this. And the report was really laughed off at the time, but looking back at it now, potentially spot on. So
you think the ability to cook has an impact on the NFL?
No, I'm not saying that specifically. I'm not saying that specifically, but I'm saying that entire situation with the life skills that you got to learn how to cope with your personal problems, and you got to learn how to separate professionalism and
You're just
personal
indirectly
life.
Bringing this all around, I guess.
No, it's not even indirectly.
It makes
It's
sense.
not
I
even
get it.
indirectly.
I get what you're
There's
trying
so
to
much relations between a guy's personal life and the way that they carry themselves. So I think that you absolutely have to juggle. You have a lot of juggling that you're supposed to do as an NFL player, and frankly, as a person in general. And I feel like Eli Apple's got to learn to do that. I feel like he's got to grow up, just like Landon Collins said.
Okay, so we talked about MVP, we talked a little bit about concussions. We had your Eli Apple interesting situation going on up there in New York. And we're going to do, in our show, we're going to have one final section. The one final section is going to typically be a debate. Some days we may all agree, some days we may not agree. So we'll start with the debate. Today we're going to go a little bit blast from the past, 96 Bulls, early 2000s Lakers, and with my boy Phil Jackson as the head coach. So do you think, in our segment, Phil Jackson versus the players, was the Chicago Bulls' success because of Phil Jackson, or was it the players?
Let me take this.
Okay.
I have two words. Let me erase this. I have two very, very strong words that go with this, and this is the
Okay.
reason
Okay.
for
I
the
mean, I agree.
success of the 90s Bulls. Michael Jordan, MJ, Jumpman himself.
I know,
He
but-
is the entire
okay.
reason.
We get. I agree. Michael Jordan's the best player ever to play the game. We'll talk about that another time because
Probably next week.
you know.
Oh, you can play. He's at the point where he's so much better than everybody else, and the success of that
Yeah,
franchise is
I agree.
continuously
I agree.
contributed to him.
But the Lakers were awesome when Phil Jackson was the coach. See, you can't tell me that Michael Jackson.
Who did they have?
Michael
though?
Jackson.
Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jordan. You can't tell me that Michael Jordan wasn't.
That was for the Bulls. He
I know.
wasn't on the Lakers. That wasn't.
I know, but you can't tell me that Michael Jordan can't credit his success a little bit to what Phil Jackson did in that locker room because he did the same thing with Shaq and Kobe with the Lakers.
Shaq and Kobe is two of the best players to ever play the game.
I know, but
I mean,
do you think Phil Jackson helped make them the greatest player in the game?
Yes.
I think it's a combination of both. I think they had the potential. I think they had the talent. I think that man figured out how to utilize it.
well, let me just show you. You can do anything when you have the talent like that, especially in the NBA, more so than other sports. Excuse me. And I feel like that the NBA, you can have kind of a star player to carry the team on his back. More so than baseball, more so than football. And when you have that with Michael Jordan, or even when you have two of them with Shaq and Kobe, that you can kind of get to any level of success that you need depending on the talent of the players. But you see it now with Phil Jackson and the New York Knicks. He has Kristaps Porzingis. He's not one of the best players to ever play the game. He's currently one of the better players in the NFL, but
that team
He's
isn't.
not-
That team isn't bad.
they
They're
are
getting there.
they're somewhat getting there. But it's somewhat.
It's a whole heck of a lot of improvement compared to where they were in the past. I think Phil Jackson had a part. I'm not going to say Phil Jackson was the reason that the Bulls and the Lakers were so good. I just think he figured out how to harness that locker room and make them successful.
I feel like there's no way to debate that, considering the fact that we weren't in the locker room with Phil Jackson or anything.
We weren't even.
But-
born. Well, we were for the Lakers, not
slightly.
not for the '96 Bulls.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I think it's all Phil Jackson, honestly.
I think it's all Phil
really?
Jackson.
All Phil
Really?
Jackson.
So we
Yeah.
got the players, the hybrid, and the Phil Jackson.
Because
Wow.
he's the coach, he's the leader of the team.
Okay.
Without a coach, you may have a lot of talent, but
Okay.
that goes out the
So
door
you
if
think
you don't
the
have a
Giants would
coach.
be awesome next year without Ben McAdoo?
Because we have the talent.
I mean, well, they don't have, who's their coach now?
There's interim head coach.
Yeah,
That's
next week, yeah.
That's a different
But,
situation.
okay, so their stats may not have gone down because I checked to make sure, there wasn't like an increase or decrease, and it didn't change. So the players are consistent, but I think it's the leadership from Phil Jackson because he's implementing his philosophy on the team. Because with different coaches come different philosophies. It's just his philosophy worked. I think it's called like a triangle.
The triangle
The
offense.
triangle offense, yeah. That obviously worked to
Right.
win, to go, 2 3-peats? Yeah. With the Bulls, and then another 3-peat with the Lakers. So obviously something's working with that offense. If you don't have the right coach, like, what's his name? Tim Floyd. Yeah, who is that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He went 49 and he went 40.
Stop.
He went 49
That's an
and
inside
190. As
Yeah.
he was the post-Jackson coach. Pre-Jackson, Doug Collins, 137 to 109. So a little bit better there,
But still not.
but not what you think of when you think of Bulls.
So you okay? So I think
it's
all
all
of us
Jackson.
make fair points here. I just think really Phil Jackson and the players. I just think they meshed. I really do because I think they were superstars, and I think he was a superstar coach.
Going off of
Certainly
what
is a superstar coach.
going off of what Colby said about leadership of Phil Jackson, we don't really know what typically it's the head coach, but when you have a player like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, when you have any of those players, they're going to bring with them their own level of professionalism, and they're going to bring with them their own level of leadership for the rest of the players on the roster. And I feel like there's no way to determine whether or not the leadership really came from Phil Jackson and his triangle offense, or if it's from Michael Jordan basically raising the level of the players around him. Because
Right.
good players make the players around them better. And I feel like you definitely saw that in both of those situations with the Lakers and the Bulls. And basically, there's really no way to determine whether or not it's Phil Jackson and the players. I feel like I kind of am shifting more towards agreeing with Cameron how it's a combination of both, but I definitely feel like with the talent that those two teams had,
You just don't
it's
think
leaning
it's
more
strictly
towards the
Lakers.
Lakers.
Okay, well, very interesting points. Please, like I said before, give your opinions below. We want to hear from you. We want to be involved with you, and we want to make this page about you. If you want a segment for next week or the following week or whatever, comment below, and we'll try to squeeze it in. Maybe not, directly, but if we think it's good enough, we'll put it in there for you. We'll talk about it. We'll give our personal opinions. But thank you guys for really tuning in. This is our inaugural show. I think really impressed with the way it went. I'm really happy. We'll definitely get better as things go on, but
Sure.
definitely pretty good. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for. I want to thank you particularly because this was your idea, and I think this is something that people will respond to well. I certainly hope so. Please respond to us well.
Please.
And I just want to thank you guys for starting this adventure with us. We all got busy lives. You playing football and you and me with our internships and stuff going on. It's nice to just sit down and talk and give our opinion to the world a little bit. So I think that'll be good. Any final comments from you guys before I wrap us up here?
Nah, not really. Just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe and comment down below, just like you said.
For sure. Subscribe.
Press that big red button to subscribe to
Turn
us.
on notifications.
Definitely. All right, we'll try to be here weekly. We may not be here weekly.
And like it.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
But if you want us here weekly, be sure to comment.
This has been the three amigos right here. Cameron Taylor, Noah Matthews, Colby Andrews. I think we should go get some wings, boys. All right, let's go.
All right.
This has been Cameron Taylor, Noah Matthews, Colby Andrews signing off with The Page.